Greetings! Welcome to another tutorial about Bloomreach XM with XIN Mods. In this video, we're going to talk about executing simple queries using the XIN Mods Query API. Let's get into it. Imagine that we want to be able to quickly search through our recipes and find recipes that have a specific selection of ingredients. So, imagine that we want to find this recipe because it has garlic and curry powder or onions. Well, the way to do that is by using the Query API. So before we get started, make sure you got your Hippo or Bloomreach CMS instance up and running. Let's switch into our IDE. These are the tests that we have written so far. And because they have a bunch of console logs, and we're going to keep it nice and tidy, let's disable them for now. And let's start making a new test. In this test, we will begin by just writing the most simple query we can. And we'll discuss the structure. So let's create the boilerplate for our test. And we need to, of course, connect to our CMS. Go, grab that one. And now the next step is to create a query string. A query string is a bunch of text shaped in a very particular way that the Query API can understand and interpret as a query and turn into an HST query, which is what the query is called in the Bloomreach XM APIs. So what we can do is we can use our connection object and create a new query. Then we can provide it a bunch of instructions, and at the very end we say, now using these instructions, build me the query string. So the simplest instructions are to indicate what kind of document you're looking for, the type of the document. In our case, we're looking for a XIN Mods recipe document. We can find this value by going into the console at /cms/console and selecting the document that we're after. And you can see here the primary type in the JCR is XIN Mods recipe. So we'll use that in our test as well. Then secondly, we want to say, now, please go looking for XIN Mods recipes in this path, in the JCR. So again, if we have a look, we can see content, documents, recipes is where both our categories exist. So that will be our base. You can use multiple. So instead of using the base, we can go sweet and savory, like this. Or you can do the opposite as well. You can say, include this base path, but exclude the savory path, for example. But what we're after are all the recipes. So we're going to use this one. And that's it. That's the most basic query you can do. So if we were to log this query and we run it, you can see here that this is the type of text that is generated by the query builder. So it's saying it's a query, and then each of these lispy looking constructs, you get bits and bobs of the query that you have specified. So in our case, we can say scopes includes this one, and the type here, it comes from here. So that's really good. So now let's execute it. There we go. So we want to get a query response from the API. So we asking the connection object to execute this query called query from the query string variable. And we're going to expect a number of result documents inside the query response object. So let's log the titles of the documents that we're after. See, the thing that will get logged is the title field. So that's this one. Yeah. Good. So hopefully if we run this, there you go. We get a bunch of results. These are all the documents that we have inside our base path. So now there are some other features in this query that we can add. We can do easy pagination by specifying that we only want 2, and we want the offset to start at 2. So that hopefully would skip the first 2 results and only output 2 more. And there it goes. And also there is an order instruction that we can provide. So let's say we want to order it by the title. We run it again. There you go. Now the documents are ordered alphabetically. We can also say we want to actually have it in descending order. And there you go. That all works. Now this is a very basic query. We haven't actually specified any type of condition in which the query should be executed. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to specify the where clause. And we're going to start with a where clause that is very simple, and it just looks for an ingredient that is mentioning the word garlic. So to know what we're looking for, we're going to go into the document in the console, and here you can see all the ingredients that have been specified in the front end. So if we click on one, we get the quantity field and the string field. Now, I discovered that I made a mistake in an earlier tutorial, and now we're stuck with the wrong field here, but this should have been the ingredient name, so probably XIN Mods name would have been more appropriate. But now that we're stuck with it, here we go, we're going to use this. So what we can do is we can specify a where clause. And we can do that by just adding where and adding an end indicator. So between these 2 statements, all our conditions will live. So now what we can do is we can add a contains instruction. We want to go looking for any subdocument named XIN Mods ingredient that has a field called XIN Mods string that has the word garlic in it. See? So contains the field name that we went after, so XIN Mods ingredient, XIN Mods string, and the value. So now hopefully if we run it, there you go, we only got the documents that contain an ingredient with garlic in it. Now this is pretty cool, but again, this is a very simple query. So the last missing piece that we want to add here is we want to be able to search for multiple ingredient names. And we can do that by using composition instructions. So you can have an AND operator or an OR operator. And they always have to be closed with the .end instruction. So let's say first we want to find all the documents that have garlic and have onion in their name. There we go. So that's how you write that. And there can be not only 2, but you can have multiple instructions inside an AND clause. There you go. So this should return all documents containing both garlic and onion. And that is the only one that has that is the keto salmon curry recipe. Now what we can do is, instead of requiring both ingredients to be there, we can say any of these ingredients by changing this from AND to OR. If we run it now, see, there you go. Now we have all our ingredients, all our recipes again that have onion. And we know that this one has both onion and garlic. Great. So that, on a high level, is how the queries are built and executed inside of Bloomreach using the XIN Mods Query API. The last thing I want to show you is an overview of all the available operators. So as you can see here, today we only used the contains operator, but there are quite a few more. You can do an exact comparison using equals, or if you're interested to do a comparison without being bothered by the case, you can use equals ignore case. There's not equals ignore case, contains, the one we used, not contains. Then there is a basic check to discover whether a field has been filled out, which is null, or whether the field has been filled out, which is not null. And then lastly, there's a category of numeric comparisons. You can check whether a number is greater than or equal to, lower than or lower than and equal to. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be doing an even more complex query. But for now, this will do. So, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of thing, check out the playlist that popped up on the screen. And if you want to be notified when a new tutorial appears, make sure to subscribe. See you next time.